grab out of here. I think it's the same advice for real estate agents. It's that, I think it's hard when you get in a position where you're stressed about the revenues, your focus tends to be bottom of funnel, right? And if agents would recognize, hey, there is a cyclical aspect to our industry, and if you're not filling your CRM with the right people, things will change, and you won't be ready to take advantage of that change.
I just posted this on Instagram 12 hours ago. I said, when should you stop marketing? Easy. When you don't want any more customers,
right?
Until then, like, keep your foot in the gas. And I think what happens right now is, like, people ask themselves the question, the intensity of their marketing rises and falls with the results they're getting today.
Yeah.
And the mindset has always got to be, to your point earlier, Curtis, like, whenever you are in a period of lull is when you really want to be stepping on the gas. But even when you're busy, that's when you want to be doubling down so you can maintain that. And then what does it? Smooths out the edges. It smooths out the rises and falls. And so, we know so many people in our space who are having great years. And it's not because of what they did last week. It's what they did last quarter or last year. Yeah. And so, like, that's the irony of this industry, is that the lag time it just punishes your psyche.
Yeah. Well, and we're telling people this isn't, well, hey, look, let's officially start here, because look, welcome everybody. Maybe you caught a little bit of our pre-show conversation. I guess we can't help but talk about what's going on in business and real estate. My name is Curtis. I'm the president of RedX. My guest today, if you haven't heard about Jimmy Mackin, then you're new, or you have really got to get online and start doing some research, because Jimmy's been around for a long time. I've been following Jimmy since pre-beard days. So, and has built some successful businesses, has been on stage all over the country, helping agents get there. I think what I love most about Jimmy is my background is marketing, right? I'm a marketer at heart. I love the psychology. I love the human behavior. I love reading an email and going, oh, they followed this certain, human behavioral strategy. And Jimmy is taking that knowledge that he has of marketing, and he's bringing it to you as real estate agents. So welcome, Jimmy Mackin, to the RedX podcast.
Well, Curtis, first off, thank you. The reason I have a beard is because I after not having a beard and looking like I was 20 years old, I grew a beard, and my wife said to me, I came downstairs, she goes, oh, I like your beard. And that one small comment from my wife is the reason why I have not shaved in like 3.5-4 years. So that's ladies, that's all it takes, right? Just one small compliment, and it will, you can live off of that for a long time. But it's funny. I think right now what I'm really excited about for today's session, and just for our conversation, is we're recording this in the early parts of July of 2025. And so many agents that we talk to right now, we're seeing it. We're seeing the winners and losers. We're seeing the agents who are having record years, who are up 20-30%, and we're seeing agents who are just struggling. And the good news is that between Curtis and myself, we've been through a couple cycles in real estate. We understand this industry. There are things that you can do. There's things that you should be aware of. There's some pitfalls you want to avoid, but there are some things you can do today, tomorrow, this week, next week, that can help you navigate this market to put yourself in a best position to be successful. Because the first thing you got to believe is that you can still win in a down market. And that mindset, right? That mindset is so mission critical going into this market, because ultimately this market is an unforgiving market. It punishes people who are indecisive. And so we want to put our audience in a position to be successful, because that's what we do at Listing Leads. That's what we do at RedX. I mean, we are in a position to help this industry. So happy to dive into whatever you got on the list today, Curtis.
Yeah, well, we always have an agenda, and as much as my team hates me for it, sometimes we don't follow that agenda. Pre-show, Jimmy and I were talking about our own businesses, and I think we both use the term, yeah, this is a tough market. And I'm seeing that not just in our industry, but all over the place. And the vulnerability of that is that, yeah, we're working harder to get results. The key is we're working harder, not just harder, but smarter. And we're focusing our time in the right places. Otherwise, in a tough market, that's when businesses die. That's when there's contraction in the marketplace. So I would love to take the conversation there, because we were talking about some great things, and I think that are extremely relevant to our real estate agents. So and so I want to go back there is where should agents be focused on? What's the reality of the market, of what people are experiencing? And for people who may not know, because Jimmy didn't go into it at all, and I didn't either in the bio. That's why we need a team to give me scripts. But Jimmy has a company called Listing Leads, and it's exactly about it. His whole job in life is helping you get listings and make money and grow your business. And he does that through an incredible product that pre-builds all kinds of marketing that in marketing terms, we used to call them swipe emails, right? So it's like, here, you swipe this and you send it to your database and you're going to get results. And I don't want to downplay what your product is, because it's so much more than that. And we can get into that at some point. But I want people to know, if for some reason they don't know who you are, that when we are going to jump into this topic, you should pay attention. You should grab a pen. You should write down what Jimmy's saying, because not only is he doing the marketing, he's helping some of the most successful agents in the country right now get the business that they do have. So,
yeah. Well, thank you for that, Curtis. I think so bringing it back to the agent for a second, I think the really important thing right now is there's two things. Number one, recognizing that there are only two ways to grow your real estate business. That is to optimize an existing lead pillar. So let's say you get clients from email marketing or social media or door knocking or expires or FSBOs, right? That's optimizing an existing lead pillar. And what I mean by optimizing is, can you do it better? Can you do it faster? Can you do it more? So if, as an example, you are in a position where, let's say, open houses is a driver of growth for your business, but you're doing one every 3 weeks, well, then adding another one will then help you accelerate your growth. If you're, let's say, doing expired marketing, and let's say on average you're making only 25 calls per week, well, maybe then adding an additional 25 calls per week will help you accelerate the results. So the first thing to recognize as an agent, and the first thing that I would be paying attention to, and the first thing I would focus on, is recognizing, where is my business coming from? And then asking myself a very simple question, which is, what can I do to optimize this lead pillar to drive up my performance? So before you start going out there and doing new stuff, you start with what's currently working today. And I was talking to someone about this recently, Curtis, where they're like, hey, I sent out like 300 mailers and I'm not getting any results from that. And oftentimes performance issues are almost always a result of volume issues. And so when I look at someone's businesses and I look at the ebbs and flows I go through, it's because the volume isn't there. People kid themselves on how much effort and energy and output you need to get results. The top 1% of content creators in the world produce 300 pieces of content per week. That's more than most people do in a year. So I think the first thing that I would say is, when it comes to your business, just from a strategy perspective, is what are the pillars that are working for your business, and then what can we do to optimize it? The second thing you can do is add a new pillar, right? And I mean, those are the only two ways to grow your business: is optimize an existing pillar, do it more, do it better, do it faster, or add a new pillar. And you and I have talked about this at length at different conversations, but at the end of the day, for agents who are listening right now, I think you have to ask yourself the question, what is going to, so putting my sort of CEO hat on for a second, the question I would ask myself is, what is going to help me drive the immediate results that I'm looking for right now, so I can get some momentum? And let me stack rank all of those ideas. So slow the game down for a second. Make a list of all the things you do today that you could intentionally optimize, make a list of all the things that you could add, and then stack rank them based on your belief on which one will actually drive more business for you today. And then whatever you're focused on, whatever that first thing is where my energy and efforts can be sort of focused on to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and I you know, as well as I do, people listening to this are going, that sounds great, but they don't even know where to start to make that list, right? They don't even know where to start to make that list. And so I think, you know, part of it is being educated on what you're doing. We say it like this. I talked to somebody yesterday in their business where they said, I think we're frailing, like we need better focus on the marketing team. And so I just said, where are you getting the most attention?
Yeah.
Like where attention is the highest form of currency in society right now. It's so hard to get. So if you have attention somewhere, where are you getting the most attention? And they were like, well, you know, I actually have quite a bit of YouTube views. I'm like, great. Then rank order that. Like the opportunity there for your attention is, what's the single most important thing that you could be doing to increase or exploit the attention that you have there? And so where are you getting the most attention? For a real estate agent, a lot of times they're getting attention, you know, from places that, well, a lot of agents aren't doing anything to do marketing. That's one of the biggest problems. They're just not even doing marketing. They're doing talking, which is a form of marketing, right? They're talking to people and they're going out and meeting people and occasionally, you know, they have some automation that's dripping something on their CRM, but they're not actually marketing. So if they don't have places where they're getting attention, where do they even start?
Yeah, you know, so I'm gonna start with something that I think everyone. Let's be really practical here. Something really pragmatic. I was just working with our community on a new referral strategy. So let's talk about referrals for a second. Referrals are, if you think about lead sources, referrals are pound for pound, probably the best lead source you can get. A referral without a referral fee, meaning from another agent from a portal, is pound for pound the best type of lead you can get. Number one, you're not paying any type of acquisition cost, really. Number two, the quality of that, meaning you get 10 referrals, you're probably going to close 3 of those deals. Number four, they're transferring trust. So you're very likely not going to be competing against other agents for that business, because if Curtis says, hey, Jimmy, you should really hire this company, I respect and trust Curtis, I'm probably not going to shop him around. And so agents right now generally do not think of referrals as a pillar. It happens passively and they're grateful for it. It happens if they deliver great service, but there isn't a proactive strategy behind it. And so I was thinking about this the last month. I'm like, well, we got to develop a new strategy designed to help people get more referrals. And how can we be proactive about it? So this is what we came up with, and our clients are using this with great success right now. Very simple strategy. So let's first and foremost, you got to get your sort of systems in place. Get your database organized and organize your database in a way where you're saying, let me sort my clients by people I haven't talked to in the last, say, 120 days. So you have like a smart list or a filtered list within your CRM, which is for your SOI, and it's filtered by the last time you had a conversation with them, a text, an email, a phone call. So that's number one. You get that in place. Then what I'm doing is I'm saying, how can I connect with my customer and get them to introduce me to a friend who's looking to buy or sell? Because let me be clear about one thing. Everybody knows somebody who's looking to make a move in this market. Everybody knows somebody who's looking to make a move in this market. And so I've got people in mind. I've got easily 5 or 6 people that come to my mind instantly who are looking to buy or sell right now. So don't believe that no one's buying or selling. People are buying and selling. So the thing I would do, I'd say, listen, what can I do to get myself in front of those folks? Well, this is what I would do. Once I got the list organized, I would make it my mission to find the very best deals in my market. Now, that might be an off-market listing that I circle prospect to find. That might be a home that's going viral on Redfin or Zillow. That might be a pocket listing in my office. That might be something where I'm like, I've got a client of mine who's thinking about selling, who's in the early stages, right? But I'm making it my mission to find good deals every single week. So I've got the list organized. part of my SOP every week is to find a good deal, something that I know is going to sell quickly, something I know is getting a lot of attention. It could be off market, could be a listing going viral on a portal, could be something that's a pocket listing. Then I'm going to reach out to maybe only 10 to 15 of my clients per week. And again, it could be, if you're a newer agent, it could be contacts. It doesn't need to be clients, it could be contacts, right? It doesn't have to be, it could be people in your phone. And the script I'm going to use is going to be something like this. It'd be like, hey, Curtis, I know that you're not actively looking to make a move, but because you're so well connected, I wanted to share this with you. I've got a new listing. I found a new listing. I heard about a new listing that's going active this week that I think is going to sell very quickly. Who do you know in your network that we should share this with? And all we're doing with this script is giving our sphere, our SOI, a reason to refer us. And it acts as a catalyst to create that conversation. And so the average agent, even really good agents, Curtis, the average agent gets maybe 1-2 referrals a month, maybe. And I think the big lie we've told ourselves is that if I do a great job for my clients,
right, people will magically show up at my doorstep with names and phone numbers.
Right. The sooner you can realize that's a story you've told yourself that actually is no longer true, the sooner you can pivot to a proactive strategy. And so to answer your question directly, where I would start is saying, you've got people in your phone, you got people in your CRM who know people who are going to buy and sell. We need a proactive strategy. This is a script. Take my script, make it better, make it your own, tweak it, do what you want. But this idea, this is how you get some now business. This is how you get your phone ringing, and this is how you get if you talk about bottom of the funnel, Curtis, this is bottom of the funnel leads.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's I don't want to offend anybody listening. As a marketer, I go, marketing is all about garnering attention. We usually tell people if there's no clear call to action, you get no action, right? It's true for dating. It's true for marketing. Like if you're not really clear on what you're trying to do, then the outcome is never going to happen. And so as a marketer, I'm going, can't you see that you don't have a system? Like dripping a market report that you didn't even look at is just auto-generated, and dripping that in an email to your sphere of influence is not a system for getting referrals. So I love what you're saying is you have to be proactive. We call it prospecting. And people are like, oh no, prospecting is cold calling. No, it's not. Prospecting is going out and finding gold. And it's the proactive approach to finding business. And you've got to meet people you don't know that are close to a transaction if you want to do business. So I love that. And rarely do I see that people have a really strong referral program or system.
Yeah. The question I ask myself, if you're listening to us right now, is very simply, do you want to get more referrals? Yes or no? Are you passively attracting referrals, or are you proactively attracting referrals? And if the answer is passively, then move on to step 3, which is, okay, put a plan in place to start being proactive.
Yeah.
And again, and I know this is such easy advice for us to give, because we're not in the day-to-day of running a real estate business, and I have so much empathy because I know how difficult it is, but and how much work goes into it, and how you're unlike a normal 9-to-5 job, where oftentimes you can control your schedule. As an agent, your schedule is almost always controlled by external factors. That being said, you can and should schedule your prospecting every day. And I got great advice from Dr. Julie Gardner, who I had the privilege of being on a phone call with her with this little mastermind a few weeks ago. So if you don't know, Dr. Julie Gardner, and we'll hopefully link to her Twitter handle on or X handle on in the show notes. She's a performance coach, and she writes this blog called Ultra Successful. And she has an opportunity to work with very successful people, very ambitious people. And she does a fantastic job of kind of codifying what I would say is really counterintuitive insight about what successful people do differently than unsuccessful people, or people who are maybe not reaching their potential. And I asked her on the call, I said, Dr. Julie, I said, a lot of people talk about time management, talk about like this idea of like, organizing your schedule to produce better outcomes. I said, what do you see really successful people do differently when it comes to time management versus people who struggle or sort of spin their wheels? And she shared some insight with me that has changed the way I think about this, and it has a profound impact on my schedule. She goes, Jimmy, I want you to stop thinking about it as time management, and I want you to now think of it as energy management. She goes, what are the things that give you energy, that allow you to kind of build confidence, build momentum, build positive vibes? Schedule those early so that when you get to the things that maybe require a little bit more fortitude, you just absolutely crush it. And I can tell you, we all have things that give us energy and all have things that suck energy in our to-do list. And that small change towards prioritizing on energy has allowed me to get so much momentum early on in the day, where by the time I get to one of these annoying tasks that I have to complete that's necessary but not really exciting for me, it just gets done. I just steamroll it, right? I don't even see it anymore. There's a brick wall. I grab a ladder and climb over it. And I could tell you right now, that has been such a profound change to my schedule, my productivity. So I say all of that to say, when you look at your schedule, are you starting to organize your day on things that give you energy and give you momentum, that help you long term, that maybe are a little outside your comfort zone?
What's so fascinating about what you're saying, and let me get through the thought because it sounds tangential, but we've done surveys with tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 prospecting agents. And we can tell you the most successful prospectors, grinders, we call them, people who are just picking up the phone and they're like 8 to 11, I'm picking up the phone and going. And I've never been able to put words to it quite like you just explained it, but it makes so much sense. We call it lead stacking, because it's like, well, who are you going to call in what order? Like if you're doing this activity, and the most successful agents lead stack in, the first people they call are past clients. Yeah. And a lot of them will go, well, then I call expireds. Well, calling expired sucks. It just does, right? I mean, that's hard. It can produce a tremendous amount of revenue. You've got 50% of them relisting with an agent within 6 weeks. That's a pretty high list rate, but it could suck. And we have a lot of people that do that. And then they go, oh, well, then I call my sphere of influence or my past clients. Why? Because they love you. I even had one, and we actually wrote a blog about this. Her name was Paula Burleson. She's in the Las Vegas market. And she said, I will frequently, after I call expireds, I call old expireds, I call FSBOs, then I call my mom. I go, oh, yeah. Wow, why do you call your mom? Because after that, I'm beaten down, right? Yeah. And putting it in your term, it's like, well, because she did something, zapped her energy, and being strategic about where you place those things that give you energy and place that. That's we could talk for the whole podcast on that. That's a fascinating concept.
Yeah. So, and in this case, what Dr. Julie Gurman would say is reverse the order. Call your mom first, get some energy, right? Call your past clients first, get some energy. Get like, hey, so good to hear from you. And then when you call someone, you're already sitting upright, you're already smiling,
right.
You're already like, all right,
it's better than trying to drink that energy down, so.
That's exactly right. So another idea that I want to pitch our audience on today is this idea of, so we talked about our referral strategy, going from reactive to proactive. We talked about the idea of finding a great listing and using that as a vehicle to create conversations. But there are other things that you can do that can sort of just help you get results where you maybe aren't getting some. So a good example of this is a lot of our audience here is listening, either is on social media or wants to be on social media. They're trying to look for a strategy, and they're trying to look for some ideas. And listen, there are hundreds of different things you can do to get attention, as Kerr said. But attention is not the goal. Attention is the gatekeeper.
Right.
It is a thing that you need in order to get the thing that you want. And what I find to be really interesting is how do you, as a marketer, let's say, take content about.
I think we lost you, Jimmy.
Which the Wi-Fi here. Can you hear me okay, Curtis?
Yep. We got you. So,
okay, cool. Yeah.
Starting on attention is the gatekeeper because we didn't even get all of that. Yep.
Yeah. So attention is not the goal. It's the gatekeeper. It's the thing that you need to get the thing that you want. And what's interesting for us when we look at the opportunities ahead of us, one of the things that jumps out to me is if you're on social media and you're promoting yourself on social media and you're trying to get more business from social media, what happens is most people don't know how to translate that into customers or opportunities. And I one of the things I would want you to do, and let me share my screen real quick because I want to just pull this up.
Yep.
One of the things I would want you to do, we do this at Listing Leads. So I got a text, just to give context. I got a text from my buddy Justin Cassidy. His agent just got a $1.5 million deal from Instagram. She doesn't have tens of thousands of followers. She doesn't post reels every single day. She's active, but not not an influencer. And I'm going to show you what she did. We have something called Swipe and Steal social shareables. She used a social media shareable. I'll pull it up so you can see this, which is basically saying, I'll grab it for you right now. It's this idea of debate about posting this, but curious how you guys are feeling about this market. And it was a poll. I wanted to buy a house this year, but about to give up because rates, can't find a deal, would need to sell. And so what she did is she posted that story. She used an Instagram poll. The poll acted as a way to sort of spark a conversation. She then followed up with people who interacted with the poll with just additional questions about the situation that ultimately led to a conversation that ultimately led to a $1.5 million deal. And so what I would advise you to do when you look at social media for a second is a lot of people use social media just to get attention. And that's fine. But you got to have, as Kurt said earlier, you got to have a pathway. I think about it as roadways and bridges, a pathway to get people into the DMs, onto the phone to have a conversation. And the best thing that you can do is using tools like Instagram polls, Curtis, are just not enough agents do it, and they're just such low-hanging fruit.
Well, and views is the new metric, right? I mean, followers was the main metric forever, and now views, and so the whole algorithm is trying to get your stuff in front of people that aren't following you. And as soon as they engage with you in that poll, as soon as they make a comment, you can DM them and you're going to end up in their priority DM. You're not going to end up in the hidden requested somebody tried to DM you thing. So you've got this window of time when they engage with your post that you can engage with them in the DM. And, for some demographics, that's better than a phone call. That's better than having a phone call conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. We call that prospecting, Jimmy. And people say, oh, no, that's not prospecting. I don't need to do prospecting in my business. Any proactive, every single medium or channel or, where you get attention should have a system attached to it to go and create the conversations, and facilitate you bringing them into your CRM as a potential client, right?
Yeah, let me give you a hack there because I think it's actually something that we do a lot of, this idea of house ads. And so if you think about it in the context of part of the reason why you hear people like us preach this idea of deliver value is because when you deliver value, you build a positive association with your brand. And that positive association can go a very long way in helping a consumer decide whether to hire you or the 15 other agents they could hire. And at its core, branding is all about building associations through experiences. And so every experience, whether it's during the sales process or it's after the sales process, or it's even before the sales process, or all these touch points create some type of emotional feeling, some type of association that makes up how people think about you. And so one of the things that I think about is this idea of, okay, if I'm out there giving value, if I'm sending email, if I'm giving away, like let's say as an agent, I'm giving away information about the market, I'm finding all these great deals, I'm communicating about new developments, like I'm just being a good agent. Well, a house is the PS. So if I send an email about, hey, here's 6 things you should know about this market, and no selling. No, you should hire me. No, I'm the greatest agent. I got 100 5-star reviews on Google. I've been doing this for 18. None of that. Just like value, 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 value. Sign off, Jimmy, Mackin Realty. Here's my website. PS, here's the pitch. PS, if you've been thinking about making a move, but you're unsure of what to do next, text me. I'm happy to help, right? PS, I just did a home value report for my clients. Their home's up $35,000 in the last 24 months. When's the last time you checked, right? PS, like just like in this idea of whether you have a video, whether you have an email, whether you do YouTube or even a letter, just incorporating the sales pitch after you've given the value, makes all, it gives you, here's what people don't realize. It gives you the ability to get in front of them a lot more.
Yeah.
If I said to you, Curtis, hey, Curtis, what's your home worth? What's your home? Here's a postcard. Find out what your home is worth. Scan this. I can send it to you once every month or once every quarter. If I send you an email, hey, Curtis, your home value is, $1.3 million. I can send it to you once every month, maybe once every quarter. But it becomes a little bit like redundant. It becomes a little bit like, okay, cool.
Well, you're also competing with what most homeowners go to anyway. Most homeowners have already gone to Zillow and put in their address and are receiving that from Zillow. Most people are already getting that from realtor.com or homes.com. They're already sending, hey, your home went up in price or down in price. So and look, as much as I don't want to say it, who are they trusting right now? Zillow for that information, or you as the local agent? Like, you don't want to believe me, but most people are going to believe Zillow. So you have to provide value better than that.
The word Zillow is searched more than the word real estate. And that's all you need to know, right? Or that's all you need to know about whether people value Zillow versus real. And but here's the thing, is that here's the good news, is that Zillow tried to bypass you. Yeah. They tried to use their brand to say, you know what, just sell your house to us. Yeah. And so Zillow's brand is not necessarily associated with the being competent at buying and selling houses. Their brand is associated with like just being able to find a house.
Find a house and look at some data. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is what should give this industry and our communities so much confidence. There was tens of billions of dollars poured into companies, established companies and startups that try to put you out of business. It would have killed most, service professionals. And yet, despite that, more consumers are hiring agents than ever before. And so the consumers, despite the fact we get some complete bozos in this industry that make it harder for everyone else, the consumer values a good agent. And the thing I've always said is, I'm like, the people who think poorly of real estate agents have never worked with a good one, because no one questions the value of a good agent.
A good agent. That's usually what I say. Because people ask me all the time, would you? I said a good agent is worth every penny of whatever commission they're going to charge you. Bad agent.
That's exactly right.
So and to go back to what you said, I think, from a human behavior, it's interesting because everybody kept saying, well, the demographics and these kids, and that's what technology is going to put us out of business, because you have this whole generation that is on. And I go, actually, studies are showing that the younger generations in any sort of high stress emotional situation want guidance from a professional. They want guidance. And so the value that you can bring that Jimmy's talking about is the continued value, so that when they are in a situation where they feel like there's high emotions, stress, anxiety, worry, that they're going to go to the person who has created a brand experience, like you're talking about, that emotional experience of bringing value and value and value over again, to be that person that guides them through that emotional experience. So
our friends at 1000 Watt put out a study on this recently. It's fantastic data. They said that around 30% of all agents, according to a survey they did with consumers, around 30% of consumers believe that all agents seemed the same. And so, when you look at the number one reason why sellers struggle hiring an agent, is like, I really wasn't sure for in agents. 47% of consumers said they weren't really sure what to look for in their agent. So we, as industry, need to evaluate the messages that we're putting out there, so we build the positive associations that we're trying to build. And so demonstrating our value, highlighting what makes us different. It isn't just about, I sold this house in 7 days. It's think about the customer's pain points and problems. Think about what they're having to deal with. Think about the questions that they're asking themselves, and then do your best to try to answer those. And that if you want, like, you want a PhD in marketing, understand your customers' pain points and problems, and then answer them in your marketing. There you go. I just saved you 6 years of marketing courses. That's it. I mean, brands that do that really well are the ones that really are able to, especially in the service business, attract the consumer. So as an example, Curtis, like in the market right now, when you look, because you have really unique insight into data, put your consumer hat on for a second. What are consumers most stressed about, most concerned about? What are you seeing from a consumer perspective that you think is relevant for this audience? And then we maybe you marketing ideas that can go along with that.
Yeah. I don't even need to look at my data for this. There's articles going around in the last week that 50% of people trying to sell their home are pulling their homes off the market because of how slow and lack of demand. So that's one study. Another piece of data, you and I just talked about recently on a webinar, which is 8 out of 10 homeowners. I'm trying to find that old slide deck. 8 out of 10 home sellers think that they will get their asking price or more, right? 8 out of 10. And yet you have this huge gap in what the median sales price is and what the median asking price is, meaning the percentage of what people are getting is so much lower than the asking price. So from a consumer's perspective, the homeowner perspective, they're stuck a little bit in the past. They think they remember the days that we all wish we were in, was, or maybe not, but you list it and there's 17 offers over asking, no contingencies. And, I'm paying you in gold bricks and Bitcoin. I mean, it's like, they think that way, but that's not the way the market is. And so when you put that into emotions, that's as soon as they start getting in and going, okay, well, I have to sell, right? The people who are selling right now, we're going to have less than 3% turnover in the country, which is almost half of what it should be for a healthy market in terms of transactions. So the people who are selling right now are the 5 Ds, right? Divorce, death, diapers, right? They're upsizing, downsizing. What's the other one? Diamonds, like
diamonds.
Getting married. Maybe there's a 5th one here. Whatever those are. Life events where they have to sell.
Yep. Death, divorce, downside, right? These are all reasons why people are selling. To give an idea, I'll pitch an idea on this.
If they have to sell, I was just going to tell you, if they have to sell, then the reality of what they're thinking when they're thinking about selling to when they actually start is pretty devastating. It's like a punch in the gut for a lot of these people, because they have to sell, and it's not meeting the expectations that they thought it was going to be when they thought, okay, well, let's throw our home for sale.
Well, just to build on that, like, let's take that stat you gave, which They're pulling their home off the. That's just for historical context. How much do you think that's up from previous years?
Well, I can tell you from, I mean, just our data, we know that we're trending over 20% canceled and expired increase over last year's numbers. And last year was way higher than the year before. And that was infinitely higher than the year before that. Right. So, I don't know. Historically, we're up a lot.
So what I would say, so this is a great bit of information that no one's creating content about. That's so much more interesting and useful to a consumer and their decision-making process than a home that sold above the ask price or a home that sold in 32 days. So what I would do in that, I would say, I would open, my email would be, and I might even write an email for listing leads for this, Curtis. I'll give you a shout out on it. But 50% of all homeowners who decide to sell are pulling their home off the market. Here's why. And then reason number one, reason number two, reason number three. So if you're in the early stages of exploring selling your house, there's a couple things you can do to avoid this. Boom, 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 boom. As always, we're here to provide you information to make sure you're read up on what's going on in the market. If you want more information about this, give me a call. Here's my phone number. But what I'm doing in that is that's an email. It's a video. It's a text message, right? If I was to do a text script on that, I might be hey, Curtis, I just read this and I had to share it with you. More than half of homeowners who list their house, right, pull it off the market after X days. Have you been following the market closely? And I'm just using I'm using a data point as a conversation starter. So here's an important marketing lesson. Let's kind of land the plane here. So when Curtis shares a data point like that with me, I say to myself, okay, who would be interested in this? Consumers who are thinking about selling their house, but concerned about the house not selling. How can I communicate this in a way that educates them and provides value and gives them information? So in this case, I would tell them, here's what's happening. Here's why I think it's happening. And here's how you can avoid it happening. Then I say to myself, how can I distribute this across all the different places I can reach a consumer? So that becomes an email campaign to my database. That becomes a hook on a social media reel. That becomes a text message that I use to create a conversation. That may even become a letter that I mail to my farm. Everything I'm doing is designed to educate the consumer about something they care deeply about. And so that process of find an interesting idea or an interesting stat or an interesting story that consumers should know about, need to know about, want to know about. Then tell them what's happened, why it's happening, and how to avoid it happening. Then ask yourself, how can I distribute that message across the different mediums to get more attention, more exposure, and create more opportunities? That whole machine we just walked through, that is marketing, folks. I mean, that's what marketing is really all about. So hopefully it gives the audience some insight in terms of how I would be thinking about if I was in their position.
Well, let me just share my screen real quick. And you see that? Is that up?
Yep.
So in every single property that we have, whether it's expired or FSBO or pre-foreclosure or neighborhood search, we have market insights. These are updated every 7 days. So we can tell you what's going on in that zip code. So taking the principle of what Jimmy is saying and going, okay, well, I just pulled a random property up here. Well, if I went in here and said, this is pretty interesting, right? This one's also pretty interesting, right? In the last week, we're actually less days on market than we were, a couple of weeks for most of June. Less days on market, or 40% of the homes on the market decreased their price in the last 7 days.
And that's actually that's in the zip code that their home is listed in? Or?
That's in the zip code of that property. So, I'll just find another. Most of these are probably pulled from the same zip code here. Nope, different zip codes, because we have some different data here, right? In this zip code, days on market is up as of Friday, July 4th.
Yep.
Right? But look, price decrease is 50%. That makes sense. More people are lowering their price in the zip code. Days on market are going up. right? So all of this information is on every lead, and we do this, and we call them insights. It's the same with these data insights of the property, of the homeowner, of the people who live there, right? You have all of this information. This is information for you to be creepy. It's not information to call this person up and be like, here, you like coupons and you got pets in the home. Like, that would be bad marketing. It's to give you an idea of who the person is so that you can understand the emotions that and statistics that might best grab their attention so that you can facilitate the right conversation. So look, this is a perfect time. I think we could go for another hour. I just, if you're listening, I just know, for being in this industry for 20 years, people are listening and they're going, yeah, but Jimmy, I'm never, like, I can be a real estate agent, or I can go study marketing the way that you have so that I can be this smart. Or you can go to listingleads.com and you can sign up. You have a trial on that site?
Yeah, we offer a free trial for Listing Leads, and 7-day free trial. And what we try to do, which is, I think, part of the reason why we've got 4,000 members just in the last 16 months who have joined Listing Leads, is we're just like, hey, here's what we want you to do today. like you and I both believe in the power of prospecting. You and I both believe in the importance of prospecting. You and I also believe in the importance of just like, so the way that we approach we don't just give away the scripts and the strategies and templates and all that. We say, this is what we want you to do today. And so based on everything that's happening right now, this is a text we want you to send to 25 people. This is a mailer we want you to send to 150 people. This is an email we want you to send to your database. And that has allowed our members and our community to take all the thinking out of marketing and just execute. And so that's been really, and so for those of you who are listening right now, if you're in a position where, as Curtis was saying, like, you just need some help. You're like, hey, I love this idea. I want to be doing more of it, but I'm like, when I look at my calendar, I'm just really inconsistent. Like, that's why we exist. And we're proud partners to our friends over at RedX, because a big part of what we do at Listing Leads is we create things like blueprints. Like, we have our expired marketing blueprint. We just really rolled out in the summer. People are using it now to get like expired listings. Come list me calls from expired listings. Well, guess what? You need some data, and you need some people who can help execute that. So our partners over at RedX do a fantastic job helping solve those problems. So yeah, we're thrilled to be a proud partner for you guys, and we hope people get a chance to check it out. If they want to try it, no obligation, 7 days, give it a go.
Yep. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And if you joined in late, go back and listen to the whole conversation, because I think that if you understand the psychology, the strategy, the education behind every line that's written in these marketing pieces from Listing Leads, I think that if you heard Jimmy talking this whole time, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. So go to listingleads.com, jump on and get that trial, and give it a go. I may have lost you again, Jimmy.
Still here yet? We got sure. And so here we just dial up about since that's the reason why we're still doing horse and buggy here in New Hampshire.
Yeah. No worries. So, okay. Well, let's wrap it up. For everybody joining in and watching, every reference that we've talked about, look in the chat and the show notes, because we'll give you the links and to everything that we talked about. We'll give you the link to Listing Leads to make sure that you get that trial. If you're looking for more data, if you're one of our customers, we have made some significant changes to how we are rolling out bundles and packages and pricing. We made significant changes to some of our data algorithms. And so if you want to come in and give it a shot, please go check us out with the link below. Jimmy, thank you so much. Any 1 minute advice here to leave people with?
Well, first, thank you very much for having me on the show. It is very simple. I'm a big believer in the JD Rockefeller approach to business, which is action solves everything. So my advice to everyone who's listening right now is whether you plan to pillar, add a new lead pillar, like getting into action in July, getting into action this week, this month is going to make such a profound difference on your in the winter season. So just getting out there and just get out there, execute. I mean, like there are plenty of agents out there who are winning. We want you guys to all successful in the industry. You're not listening to this podcast if you're a hack or if you're a part-timer who doesn't take this business seriously. We know that people who listen to podcasts in real estate are committed professionals. We want you to win. So I'd say action solves everything, man. Get out there, focus on the prospecting, apply some of these ideas, and let's go out there and help some people.
Thanks, everybody. Join us every Thursday at 1:00. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Curse. See you soon, buddy.